打ちなよ。その代わり絶対私に当てな。私以外の仲間に当ててみろ。あんたを死ぬより辛い目に遭わせてやる。
怖い。
ダメだよ、みーちゃん。高野さんは本気。この人、本当に撃つよ。
I mean, you better have a plan for this, Mion.
なんとか時間を稼ぐんですのよ。そうすれば、番犬の誰かがきっと。
もちろん。だから、一矢報いる機会がなくならないうちに、さっくり一発撃たせてもらうわ。さーて、どこに当たるかしらね。下手くそだから、どこに当たっても許してね。
みー、本気ですか？
みんな動くんじゃないよ。私は部長さ。みんなを背中に守れるなら、こんなに嬉しいことはないね。もし、当たりどころが悪かった時はさ、部活ロッカーの中に神棚を作って、私を軍神と称えてよ。次期部長はケイちゃんね。みんな、そん時は後をよろしく。
As if. Instead of a shrine, we're gonna be putting like a lot of paper with like punishments written on them. Stack up the entire locker after this. Not a stupid shrine. Neon is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Neon understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That was why she chose to be a shield for her friends. And that was an easy decision to make for her, because none of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up just getting injured, that would be a stroke of luck, as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. And that's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept. So she'll shoot. I will pull the trigger. With all the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I will shoot her.
あなたたち、よくゲームはするわよね。トランプのババ抜きはやる？
やらないね。うちはジジ抜きばっかだよ。
同じようなルールよ。人の世の罪はババ抜きと同じ。誰もが一枚のババを互いに押し付け合う。それは勝者を求めるゲームではなく、一人の敗者と生贄を決めるゲーム。私はそのババを引いた。そのカードをもう渡す相手がいない。だからその腹いせにあなたを撃つの。不条理な人の世らしくね。
Prepare myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. I will shoot her. I'm serious. Neon closed her eyes and opened her arms to try and shield her friends as much as she could. And that was when Hanyu stepped forward and placed herself in front of Neon.
羽生、危ないから下がって。
勇敢なるミオン。あなたの勇気はそれで十分です。人の世のババ抜きが必ず人に押し付けられなければならないものならば、それを引き受けるのが私の役目。羽生、あんた何を。リカ、この世界はすごく楽しかったです。
Hanyu, I swear to God.
私も部活メンバーに加われてよかった。見ているだけじゃなく、加わる部活は本当に楽しかった。 ありがとう。もう十分に楽しんだ。神の身には過ぎたくらいに幸せだった。
In that moment, Hanyu glared at me adamantly.
さあ撃て、人の子よ。人の世の押し付けずには済まぬ罪を放て。それを受け止めてやる。わかったわ。わかったわかったわかったなら死ね。
The club members must have thought I was joking or bluffing. They didn't think that I would actually shoot. There was a noise, like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, we saw it happen. The silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyu. As though the wall was protecting her, the bullet wanted to pierce Hanyu's chest, but it couldn't reach its goal. A bead of sweat formed on Hanyu's forehead. She had stopped the bullet with an invisible force.
大丈夫です。人の身でもこれくらいのことはできますです。
The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomenon. But then she spoke one phrase. Come on, Hanyu. Last time I believed that if you had the will, you could have stopped that bullet too. But now you can.
この化け物が。
The silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There was no longer a wall at all. There was no wall to protect Hanyu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In that world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that was stopped just inches in front of Hanyu's chest. Hanyu's friends had seen the scene before. The moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories.
あなたは死ぬ。好きなだけ走馬灯をご覧なさい。それが終わったら胸板をぶち抜かれて血をばらまいて、自分の血で溺れてのたうち回って死になさい。
その覚悟がなかったら、僕はミオンの前になんか出ないのです。
Hanya thought that this would take care of everything. Hanya wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. She would leave the stage, and the rest of the cast would stay unharmed. This is how it's supposed to be. But in that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyu. In the world of frozen time, in which nobody could move, Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. How could she move? Even Hanyu couldn't move. Why could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet?
それを驚くのはおかしいわ。あんたと学んできたんじゃない。奇跡の起こし方。今日何度もすごいことが起こったけれど、本当の奇跡なんて何一つ起こしちゃいないわ。すべて死んじゃえば起こって当然のことだった。だからこの最後の瞬間に本当の奇跡を使うわ。私お社様の生まれ変わりだしね。最後にこの程度の奇跡は使わせて。
Rika rubbed the frozen bullet gently, very gently, and then held it and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In the world where not even Hanyu could move,
高野も羽生も人の話を聞かないやつだってことも分かったわ。ミオンの話を聞いてた？私たちはババ抜きなんてやらないわ。ジジ抜きしかやらない。それを高野は同じようなゲームだと笑ったけど、全然違うゲームなのよ。
in Old Maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element, is added to a full harmonized set of cards, and people try to foist it onto another. But in Old Bachelor, one card is removed from that harmonized world, and everyone foists the unharmonized fragments on each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games, but what they try to get rid of is very different.
ジジ抜きも同じ。敗者の手元に1枚カードが残って終わる。それを高野が同じだと例えた気持ちはよくわかるわ。でもね、違うの。だってジジ抜きは
If the missing card was at the back end, there would be no loser. Hanyu, the missing card in this world where someone has to foist their sins onto another, has joined the game. So this game has no losers. Yet you're still trying to take away one card? What a waste of a miracle.
敗者なんかこの世界にいらない。
No losing cards. None.
これがフルでリカが奇跡を求めた1000年の旅の最後にたどり着いた答えよ。
The answer has always been there. He was there in the very first game of Mion's club. There was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. If you could fill in for a missing card by believing each other and helping each other, then you will complete a full deck of 52 cards. Oh my god. That's why there were so many fragments that we had to connect. A complete world without a loser. A complete world where no one is left out. Nobody has to stay out of the circle. Nobody has to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands and forgives each other's sins. When people live, there will be sin. What's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Rika Fude reached. A complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one has to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. The frozen time had begun to fall. There was smoke coming from the muzzle of Takano's gun, so he was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot.
外しやがった。
ざまあないね。
The tension lifted in Mion's body, and she began to sweat all over.
この私がこの距離で外すなんて。
All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that the bullet didn't hit anyone. The club members had all felt the same way. They were all thinking, if it's going to hit someone, let it hit me. However, Rika Furude wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. She wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. She wished for a world where Takara wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Footsteps were rushing towards them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root and the scrapbook in her hand scattered everywhere. As she tried to gather up the papers, members of the Bloodhounds surrounded her. All the Bloodhounds pointed their guns her way, and some even poked her with them. But Takano still didn't stop gathering up the papers. Some of the men stepped on the papers, and Takano tried to pull them out from under them. She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers.
高野さんさ、あなたを逮捕します。
私が全部悪いことになるのよね。
The club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground.
立て、両手を後ろに回せ。こら、抵抗するな。
いや、いやよいや。おじいちゃんのスクラップ持ってくの。いや。
Takano just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. God damn it. Like, I'm getting very, like, not very, but I am starting to get teary-eyed because of this. Like, if it were me in this kind of situation, I would tell, like, the Bloodhounds to stop what they're doing for a split second. And then, at the very least, help Takano get her scrapbooks, at least, before they take her in. I think it would be fitting if the club members would do that to help her get her, like, all the scrapbook papers. But the Bloodhounds, thinking that she was just resisting, pulled on her hair to try to make her stand up. Although this was her fate, it was too hard to watch her be treated that way. And then, a noble voice resounded among them.
待て!
Radiating with divine lights, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well, but they had never seen him look so determined.
調査部の富武2位だ。彼女は調査部が保護する。しかし、富武2位、司令部から直ちに東京へ連行せよと命令を受けています。君たちは彼女を見て気づかないのか？彼女の全身を見ろ。かきむしった後でいっぱいじゃないか。Hinamizawa症候群のかなり高いレベルの発症が疑われる。
There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Takano had scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anyone to be certain if those marks were symptoms of the syndrome. But when Tomitake said that, it certainly sounded true.
しかし、サンサは入江機関で予防薬の投与を受けているはずです。発症するわけがありません。君たちは資料をちゃんと読んでいるのか？予防薬は 100% の効果を保証するものではないと書いてあるぞ。十分読んでいれば彼女の状態が末期症状であるとわかるはずだ。調査部は彼女の尋問にあたり、Hinamizawa症候群の治療が最優先されると考える。そもそも今回の事件が彼女の意思に基づくものなのか、末期発症による妄想、錯乱によって引き起こされ、それを誰かが利用したのか。慎重な判断がなくては全容解明は不可能であると考える。彼女の罪なのか、彼女の病んだ病の罪なのか。
That is true.
この場で断言するのは不可能だ。それを判断するためにも彼女には治療を受ける権利があり義務がある。
I mean, when I say it's true, what I mean to say is that maybe this is a way for the world to say that they are gonna take it easy on Takano, that she has been forgiven, so at least she is given at least some leeway for her to not be treated like trash. At the very least, in these final moments.
次郎さん。
彼女を直ちに入江機関本部へ移送し、発症レベルの検査に入る。高野三佐の治療体制を準備させるよう入江二佐に連絡を。ただし三佐については今後厳重に監視をつけ、全ての行動には制限が加えられるものとする。詳細は調査部長岡一佐から上級司令部を通して命令があるはずだ。
The Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. Their job was to arrest her, after all. Any interrogations or investigations after that were the job of investigations. So if those were the orders for investigations, then that was that. Tomitake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano.
次郎さん。
Takano buried her face in Tomitake's chest and cried. Only Tomitake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears.
遅くなったね。君を迎えに来たよ。君がそうだと思っているような悪い人じゃないんだ。やり直そう。今度こそ君の本当の人生を、田無美代子の人生をやり直すんだ。
できない。できない。できない。私、いっぱい罪にまみれた。やり直したりなんかしちゃいけない。死ななきゃいけない。じゃなきゃ私は自分の罪の重さで。
そうだね。君の罪はひょっとすると軽いものじゃないかもしれない。でも大丈夫。僕が一緒だから。だから一緒に償おう。高野美代の罪を償おう。そして僕と一緒に田無美代子を取り戻そう。その日まで僕は決して君のそばを離れない。
生きてていいの？私は生きてていいの？みんながお前が死ねば丸く収まるって私に言うよ。それでも私は生きてていいの？それでも次郎さん、生きててもいいって言うの？それでも私は許してもらえるの？
世界は君を許さないかもしれない。でもそれが何だってんだい。僕が君を許すよ。だから生きよう。死ぬことは罪の償いにはならない。生きて償い、世界に許しを請おう。そしてやり直すんだ。そうしたらきっと思い出せる。君が本当はどんな人で、どんな風な笑顔を浮かべていたかをね。
After a while, Takano was taken to the 80 Institute in handcuffs. She was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. She was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. Damn right. The downpour from the early afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing again, reminding everything that this was a normal June in Hinamizawa. You escaped it this time, Higurashis. I had my eyes on you, like at the beginning. And something tells me that you still have something in all this, but I will let you go for right now. Okay. It was so hot, despite being June, and the sky was brilliantly clear. Someone asked someone else the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. The Watanagashi festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the furthest shine could be seen. There were red lanterns hanging all over. Once the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It was almost time for the Watanagashi festival. And with that, everything would end. Alright, well, soon enough we will be able to attend the festival. You know, at the beginning I was worried that we would be going past the festival in order to do the mission. You know, that we wouldn't be able to celebrate it like accordingly, but we finished it well before that. It almost feels as if we finished the hardest class like imaginable, and now we can celebrate with some good old club activities after school. When the Higurashi Cry, the game that stretched across different worlds, had ended, and what the winner obtained after their victory is that the game ended without a loser. I'm gonna be with that being said, I'm gonna be waiting for us to celebrate our victory by enjoying the festival. And then I'm gonna be doing something that I've been waiting to do. Hanyu was prepared to leave after the game was over, but she was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she was in the card that was taken away. The card that was taken to play their game of Old Bachelor was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanyu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Rika went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanyu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage. And then she thought that was enough, and tried to step off of it. With those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay. Then she realized she was still on the stage, and she didn't have to leave after all. There was a spot for her on the stage, and she was no longer a bystander. And with that, we can all bow down as one final goodbye to the audience, as the curtains will close. And that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exit in the script. Nobody needed her to be there, but the miracle had allowed her to stay.
あれだけ苦労した旅だったのです。その程度の奇跡じゃちょっと足りない気もしますですよ。見たー。十分ですよ。こんな奇跡、僕の身には十分すぎて。
Rika smiled at Hanyu one more time, and passed her what was in her right hand. Hanyu felt something cold in heart. What was it? The bullet? Hanyu slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet Takano had fired. This was the proof of their miracle. It was proof that Hanyu could exist there. It was the proof that they could be together forever and ever.
もうすぐ暗くなってお祭りの時間になりますです。はあ、みんなで楽しくお祭りで部活なのです。もう脇で見てることなんかできませんです。きっと新人いじめの洗礼で罰ゲーム三昧でかわいそなのです。もう綿流しのお祭り見てるだけじゃないのですね。
No. You can enjoy it just like the rest of us.
そうです。だってお祭りは見るものじゃなくて加わるものですよ。
Were they testing the speakers? It was still bright outside, but there was music playing already. The cheap dubbed BGM collection of festival music could be heard from the Furuta shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This was what she had wanted to join in on all this time. Rika held her hand. Let's go together. Let's go to the Watanagashi festival. All of us. Together. Yeah. They had almost too much energy left. It'd been a long day, and many things had happened, but they still had the energy to go to the festival. Well then, I guess so. Now I will say, I may have missed like another golden opportunity right over here, like before we continue with this. The first one was definitely like having to say that cool line in front of Okonogi when he lost to Akasaka, the whole without truth he cannot be seen kind of spiel. I already described it. Another one was that, well, I guess I didn't really get the opportunity, or rather missed the opportunity to use the Bony King tank on Takano. It would have been a nice little reference there, but no. I guess, well, nonetheless, I'm gonna keep it with me for the future to remind me of this moment. It was, after all, the special day of Watanagashi. The curse of Oyashiro-sama had been lifted, and no tragedy would ever occur again. With that being said, though, I do feel like using the Bony King on somebody at the very least. Somebody has to be a victim in this. I have my eyes on you, Satoko. It was the first peaceful Watanagashi. The first one without a tragedy since the damn conflict. The villagers had noticed that the phone lines were disconnected during the day, but it was fixed so quickly they didn't even pay much attention. They heard a self-defense force helicopter near the mountains, but rumor had it that they come to the wrong place for their training. The elderly villagers laughed and said that the young men of the National Defense Force need to pay more attention. Yeah. Some people say the defense force even came to the Yurei clinic. The villagers didn't even get suspicious about that. They assumed that the Yurei clinic had started doing physical checkups for the SDF. There were pieces of broken glass on the roadside near the village borders, as if there was an accident. Some people wondered how anyone could have had an accident when there was no obstruction on the road. I don't know, maybe it was a ghostly car. Ugh. The elderly people said to each other that they always had to drive carefully, even on a familiar road. but it looked only like a trace of a normal accident, so they didn't get suspicious. The rest was a ghost story. The villagers heard an extra firework to signal the festival taking place. It wasn't an echo. The people in charge of the fireworks were puzzled. When Rika said Oyashiro must have shot the extra firework, the villagers simply believed that was true. It was the night of Watanagashi, the biggest festival of the year. The villagers forgot their worries and enjoyed themselves. The club members were doing great as usual. You kids are in trouble. You're doing too much trouble. They were doing so great that they were all taken to the main tent and yelled at by the mayor. Okay. With that being said, let me do what I said I was gonna do once we finished all conflict, and now we're here in this very lovely moment. There. I finally exhaled all the stress, all the worries, all the struggling that we went through, like all these chapters, this entire story, all these years since I started this. Although, I don't think that's enough. Like, what I am gonna do right now is basically just put myself on the ground a little bit, on all fours, and just exhale a little bit. Now I can finally rest in peace right over here, and well, I get to finally enjoy the lovely sight of Watanagashi. Enjoy some boring days just looking at the rice fields as the wind blows the flowers and the trees and all. Hear the cicadas crying without having to worry about all this. My little resort, my happy place after all this, I guess. That was a normal Watanagashi night for the villagers. But there was one thing that was very different. The girls fought for an unimaginably long time, in many different roads, for the sake of this night. However, nobody would ever know that. Oh, there was another big change too. Rika Furude said that she wants to go to a pool in the summer. It's unusual for her to say she wants to do something. She wants to see the stars. She wants to go on a camping trip. She wants to look at the sunflowers. She wants to make the school into a haunted house, etc. I mean, my god. Rika, you can travel! You can travel the world if you want, now that you're free. You can go on a trip with your friends, like around the world if you want to. I mean, my god, you can Rika, listen to me. Listen to me very closely. We may have prevented a tragedy, but you know what? Life can surely be dangerous at some point. I won't be surprised if you ended up in another huge tragedy in the future. I mean, my god, imagine if she has to go through like time loops again and all that. In which case, Rika, listen to me. You have to do the karate. Have Akasaka teach you how to fight, damn it. Be strong. Eat your vegetables. Study a lot. So you don't have to go through all this tragedy again. Or at the very least, you would go with a little bit more ease and experience. Just saying. Right. Rika Furude, for the first time, is making plans for after June 1983. Because it is the first summer break she is going to experience after 100 years of repeating the same life. She will now experience an all-new summer vacation. Who would stop her from getting excited about that? Rika Furude is looking forward to waking up before Satoko to rip the page of the calendar at the end of June. Rika Furude's infinite future has begun. Infinite future, right? There are infinite possibilities, yet she can only make one choice. But that's why it's a great world. Let's talk for a moment about the people who fought with Rika Furude. Alright, sure. Let's go for like an all-cast review kind of thing right over here. And see what they're doing. Miyonso Ozaki has vowed to study hard so she can continue her education after the summer break. Followed by joining the Bloodhounds and becoming a master strategist / commander. Hell, she could become a general. According to Keiichi, even that may not be enough time for her. However, how can the legendary club leader, Miyonso Ozaki, fail an entrance exam? She will more than likely find a way to get into school she wants to go to. I mean, I guess she can just pull some strings here and there. Hopefully, it isn't an illegal one. Anyhow, she's looking forward to enjoying her final summer break. So she has tons of plans. The club members can't get away from Mion, even during the summer. Once you're involved with her, she'll always find a way to get at you. No matter how much you want to be alone, you'll never go back to spending a boring summer by yourself. Keiichi Maebara has been asked by Mion and Chie-sensei to be their next class president. He was also asked to be the next club leader too, but he declined immediately. You know, I'll say this, Keiichi. What you did at the end of chapter 6 was amazing. Helping Rena and all that. Hell, you created a huge miracle in chapter 7, saving Satoko from the mean uncle and all that. In this, you've taken a step back, my boy. You surely had it easy this time around. With that being said, I'm gonna slap you in the back of your head. You could have just taken Okonogi yourself. How dare you, like, be there in silence and let Nyon do all the heavy lifting. Okay. Keiichi likes the club because Mion runs it. He continued saying that it's Mion's club until she got mad. Keiichi can't understand why she's so angry. Well, Keiichi wouldn't be Keiichi if he wasn't dense. So things are rather lively around him again today. His good name continues to spread, even in Okinomiya. Rena Ryukyu is growing more energetic every day too. I'm gonna take you, I'm gonna take you, and I'm gonna take you, I'm gonna take you all home. Satoko, Rika, and Hanyu spend every day in fear of being abducted by her. In my backpack, right now. Still, she's been acting more mature lately. She takes care of her younger classmates, and she's almost like a mother figure to the class. She is like a mother to all the club members too. After hearing that, Keiichi said that he'd be a father for the class. How? As usual, Rena thought about that too much and blushed. Satoko Hojo is as lively as ever. She used up most of her traps on the mountain during the battle with the mountain dogs, so she's setting up new ones for the next event. Rumor has it that some members of the Bloodhounds were so impressed with her trap techniques that they asked her for some lessons. There is supposed to be a training area near Mount Fuji, and they asked her to set up her traps there. Hell, imagine like Satoko, like at home, and like the Bloodhounds, like, I don't know, 4 or 5, how many like the house could fit. They will come house for some extra lessons, and they will be all sitting there, like on the floor, on their butts, with their equipment on too, full on, and they listen to Satoko, like explain. That's not a very good idea. The sea of trees really will become a forest of no return. Either way, Satoko keeps saying how she wants to fight against the Bloodhounds next. She's invincible! Also, she's become a great cook. That's because Hanyu has been teaching her. Now, are we gonna have like one final moment where Satoshi returns, all cured, so we can have a reunion with Satoko? Maybe? Oh. I assume so. If not, then maybe there's gonna be like future side stuff that will basically fill that gap. That's because Hanyu has been teaching her. According to Hanyu, Satoko is a quick learner as compared to Rika. Satoko's dream is to master fried chicken, which is her brother's favorite, and welcome him home with it. I'm the only one who knows this, but her dream may come true very soon. As for her brother, Satoshi Hojo has yet to return home. His condition is unchanged. If there's been any change, it's in Shion Sonzaki. She goes to the clinic on her days off. Nobody knows why she goes there, but she seems to be very happy, so nobody pays much attention to it. Mion has teased Shion by saying that maybe she's planning on getting implants, but Shion just smiles. Christ. Also, for whatever reason, she's been visiting her relative's clothes shop and buying up all kinds of men's clothing. Lately, she's even started buying more than just men's clothing, but why is she so excited when she visits a clinic with a maid outfit that's not in her size? Shion, I think you're getting a little too excited here, my girl. The truth is shrouded in mystery. Oh god. Okay, never mind. I think Irie may have had a hand on that. Hold on a second. Yeah, like I get the feeling that that Irie may have had a part on that for some reason. I don't know how he convinced Shion to do that. I was thinking that Shion went in of her own volition with a maid outfit, thinking that will wake Satoshi up. The biggest change is probably that Shion babies Satoko nowadays. She tries to make Satoko call her Nini. Nene? Nene, which only annoys Satoko. Kyosuke Irie has 2 jobs now. On one hand, he is a respected doctor, and on the other hand, he is an evangelist for maids. Okay, well, you know what? I'm actually glad that Irie has not been punished for anything right over here, or maybe he has to pay some stuff, I guess, but he is still continuing to be a doctor, and an evangelist for maids. I guess we're forgetting that he is a coach for baseball and all that, but nonetheless. he can continue to work on that cure. Actually, I'm pretty curious on that department because, like, is the budget still cut? So he only has like a time limit to get that cure. The idiot clinic was supposed to be closed, but the villagers pleaded with the authorities not to shut it down. Did we go through another riot again? The third grand Hinamizawa riot? Yeah, you know what? Might as well. You know, we should call it like this: the Dan conflict, the first grand riot, Hinamizawa riot. Fighting for Satoko and like getting at the child safety center. The second grand Hinamizawa riot. Helping Irie in having the Irie clinic not close. The third grand Hinamizawa riot. Might as well. While Irie isn't originally from the village, he and everyone else feel that he is one of the villagers now. He is an indispensable part of village life. The conservative attitude toward Hinamizawa syndrome is gone, and now it is being researched very proactively. The syndrome is being researched so passionately that hopefully in the near future, all the victims of this disease will be freed for good. Thank God. Also, later on, Irie will publish an advanced article about the influence of the brain on human behavior, which will surprise people in the medical world. I won't go into the details here. We will talk about how one should hate this sins instead of the sinner. The deceased Hifumi Takano and Mio Takano's names will be mentioned in that article. Well, would you look at that? Takano, you know, your plan may have failed, but I'd say that this is like, if we were to give like the research that much like care, like you could say that this is the best happy ending for that whole research arc and all that, I guess. Jiro Tomitake still visits Hinamizawa every season. He is still known as the fighting traveling photographer. He continues to walk around the village looking for good picture spots. Well, you know what? It is good that, like, I mean, clearly we have established that a long time ago that he loves photographing, like, for real. One could have said, like, at the beginning that, oh, he's just disguising himself as a photographer when he's actually, like a general or anything like that. But, I mean, part of it is true, but he really loves photographing, that's for sure, and he continues to do that. However, he isn't seen in the village as much as before. His bicycle is always parked around the back of the clinic, so maybe he spends a lot of time there. Some villagers say maybe he's sick and being treated, but his bright smile proves they are wrong. Mio Takano hasn't been seen since that day. Nobody knows where she has gone, but obviously, Tomitake isn't worried, so she must be doing fine. She'll probably show up one day out of nowhere and start telling ghost stories to scare some kids. As for Mamoru Akasaka, what happened to him was pretty funny. His wife and daughter followed him in secret. They pretended to run into him at the festival. Akasaka, you have been caught in 4K. My man, what are you doing? With another girl in your arms. Riga called him Papa, so things grew complicated all of a sudden. Akasaka's wife smiled, but she choked his neck with her braided hair. Her arms were folded, but her braid moved like a tail. Squeeze. She tortured a man who destroyed the Special Forces unit without even using a weapon. Rika continued to tease him, making the situation even worse. However, Akasaka's family liked Hinamizawa, and they said they wanted to come back. And the baby! Akasaka's daughter and Rika grew so close they seemed like sisters. Well, let me do the one thing that I like doing, like throughout this entire story. Whenever I see like something cute, maybe. There, I did it. One final time, where I'm gonna look at some babies and call them babies. Although probably not the last time that I'm gonna be doing in this life. At least in this story, it will be the last. Kurao Oishi has gotten back into playing mahjong. For whatever reason, Akane Sonozaki has joined his table too. And there's rumors that Riot's squad almost got dispatched to the mahjong parlor one time. His colleagues say Oishi has calmed down quite a bit. It's probably because he has reached closure with him himself. Yeah, go figure. Now Akane is like Oishi is a new mahjong partner, playing mahjong till they both die of old age. But his colleagues know nothing about that. He's planning to move to Hokkaido when he retires, but he wants to come back every summer. His bright second life is waiting for him. Tatsuyoshi Kasai hasn't changed much compared to the others. To some people, this was a life-changing event, but for Kasai, it was just another episode added to his Tales of Heroics. Imagine. God, if I started Higurashi first and then have gone for Yumineko, God, would I have sometimes wished for Kasai to have helped in one of his episodes of Heroics. He could have been a great help there. According to Kasai, this incident was just a little bigger than usual. If this was just a little unusual, then wonder what would be needed to impress him. Shion insists that he will tell her, but Kasai only tells her that that's a secret. Also, he regretted exposing that part of his past. Shion keeps begging him to tell her all about it, but he simply ignores her. Let me talk about myself too. I, Hanyu, am doing great in my new life as Hanyu Furude. I'm finally getting better at playing games, and now I'm taking the role of the club's dark horse, a position formerly reserved for Keiichi Maebara. Oh, what? No way. No way Keiichi is no longer like the like the punching bag. I have a bad habit of believing everything I hear. So Mion and the others always tell me some strange things. Thanks to that, I'm getting tougher, to put it in a good way. Should, to put it in a bad one. But then I need to, otherwise I won't survive in this club. I'm going to continue to learn a lot of stuff through these club activities, so I can live in this human world. Sunday, June 19th, 1983. Night falls on my longest day of the past 1,000 years. These club members are having a blast. A lot of people are here. The stall vendors are still doing business. The speakers are playing rough, yet exciting festival music. I've known all of these, but how wonderful it is to actually feel and hear them in person. I thought I knew. Because I've been following and watching them. But that was completely different. I knew of it, but this is the first time I've actually experienced it. We had a takoyaki eating contest. There was no octopus in it, but it was still very tasty. We had a shaved ice eating contest. I would have enjoyed the shaved ice if I had eaten it more slowly. I bought a candied apple for the first time. Everyone took a bite from it. It was tasty, and it was fun. We played a shooting game. I didn't know how difficult it would be to shoot a target, but it was fun too. Also, we played a shady lottery game. It was one of those things where you pulled a string and got a prize. Nobody got a good prize. We all complained about it to the vendor. That too was just so much fun. Then it was time for the dedication dance. Of course, we got there early, so we commandeered the best seats. I snuck out and stood where I was told to. I could see better than the other club members. This was the spot where the object of worship sat. This was where I was supposed to be during the ritual dance. No, this was where I thought I had to be, but seeing the dance from that spot wasn't fun. Therefore, I returned to where I was, and sat with everyone else. They saved me a spot. Everyone rubbed my head while asking me where I went. I apologized by saying, "Ow, ow." That made me very happy. I watched the performance in the crowd of people. It was the best dance I've witnessed in the past 1,000 years. I couldn't keep either my happiness or my tears from flowing out. After the dance was over, a handful of cotton was passed around to all the villagers. We let the cotton absorb all the filth and sins of the past year, and washed it down the stream. Cotton is cotton. Obviously, it's not human. We use cotton instead of a human, so that nobody is sad. In other words, this is the way to purify sins without making anyone suffer. You know, this is probably like the most obvious horror idea that anybody would have on first impression when going through this story for like chapter 1, 2 and all that. With the whole cotton thing, like being washed like over this. And thinking in the back of your head, God, what if the cotton is hiding like human body parts? That would be a horror thing. But, yeah. That was not the case, obviously. It is as I said like a while ago. Like, when I started this, I thought that this was like more of a horror story that I would have to go through. And in some aspects it was. But more than anything, this was definitely more of a tragedy than a horror. A tragedy that, despite all odds, despite hundreds of years, it ended in a miracle, that's for sure.
はい、これ羽生ちゃんの綿だよ。やり方わかる？わかりますのです。こうしてポンポンしてから流すのですよ。はんはん。
The girl who gave me the cotton took the letter I from her name during last year's Watankashi and washed it down the stream. By doing so, she was free from her suffering and began a new life. We drifted our sins down the stream. It's not the same as pushing our sins onto the cotton. Instead, we wash away our own sins and forgive ourselves. I mean, unless there is that possibility that cottons are are like living beings too. Imagine that kind of twist. We forgive each other, we help each other, and that's how we create our own story. I put my cotton in the stream gently. And the cotton went down the stream, into the world, where sins are cleansed. I let my bare feet soak in the clear stream, as I watched a long, long line of cotton flowing downstream in the dark, surrounded by people sending their cotton flung down the wondrous stream. This is a complete world where all the fragments were put together. This is an ideal world. What else is there? What else do you need? Hanyu Furude still wants more. Because we can be even happier than this. We can be happier if we wish to be. Not a long time from now, but in the near future. Then when is it? I told you, it's in the near future, dum-dum. We will be happy then too. See?
閉じた目をそっと開いてごらん見渡せば
Alright, well. We do have one final staff room moment right over here. Hello, this is Ryukishi07. Thank you for playing Matsuri Bayashi. No, thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry till the end. Matsuri Bayashi is, in a way, the solution episode for the situation with Takano and the kids starting from halfway through Minaguroshi. How can they defeat Takano's conspiracy? How can they reach their ideal ending? I wrote this episode as a duel between you, the reader, and me, the writer. So if you think you created a better resolution rolled than my Matsuri Bayashi, that means you've defeated Ryukishi07 in this duel. I cannot even think of a better roll than this, so I don't think so. I, Ryukishi07, have provided two resolutions. One is how to fight against Takano. First, here's a hint from the Minaguroshi chapter. You find out about Takano's conspiracy, which relies on Emergency Manual 44. Next, here are hints from the Watanagashi and Miyakashi's chapters. It has been 48 hours after Rika's death, yet the village is peaceful. If you put those two things together, obviously the basis of the emergency manual which Yufumi Takano wrote, that everyone will develop terminal symptoms within 48 hours, isn't true. Yes? When you put these two together, you can realize that if Rika's body was discovered 48 hours after her death, then it's possible to prevent the final operation. In the Matsuri Bayashi chapter, I wrote about an attacking side and a defending side like a novel. If I were to simply write about the resolution, all I had to write was for Oishi to announce that Rika died at least 48 hours ago, and Takano's conspiracy would fall apart once the news reached Tokyo. That is true. This was a rather an easy resolution, like a puzzle. So I'm sure many of you got this right. The other resolution was the ideal ending for this world. To answer this, I have to explain the worldview of this story first. There are hints all over, but the crucial ones are in the Tatarigorishi and Minaguroshi chapters. Satoko's uncle comes home and Satoko's life becomes miserable. How can she be rescued from that situation? If this story was an exercise in murder, then the Tatarigorishi chapter is the correct answer. Keiichi kills Teppei and hides his body well. There's a happy ending. But I didn't end the episode that way. Instead, I denied it with a bad ending. The resolution the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry advocates is a non-violent one, with everyone united together. That is established in questions chapters such as Onikakushi, Watanagashi, and Tatarigorishi. In those worlds, when someone becomes suspicious about everything and worries about it alone, things get worse, and that leads to tragedy. The Miyakashi chapter is the sublimation of that situation. On the other hand, when one talks to their friends, it's revealed that the causes of the tragedies are quite silly. That is indicated in the Mutsumiho Boroshi and Minaguroshi episodes. In other words, can you say that in the worlds of Higurashi, anything can be overcome when people talk to each other and help one another? Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in reality. Helping each other creates friction, and oftentimes working alone is a lot simpler. However, we always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other, so that we can face any difficulty. In that sense, this world is a fantasy. That's right. In the worlds of Higurashi, there is one magical rule. And that is to talk to others and accept help from them. Then you can defeat anything. With that, it is possible to make a miracle happen. If that could be cast into an absolute rule, you'd be sort of magical, systematic miracle. It can be studied alongside magic math, just like what Hanyu and her friends said in the story. That is the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry. If you follow that rule and think about an ideal ending, I bet the first thing you'll think about is an ending where all the club members unite and defeat Takano. Actually, there are scenes in the Matsuri Bayashi chapter that affirm that sort of ending. In fact, it just happened. However, at the same time, Takano is described as a very lonely person. By doing so, I raise a question about the resolution. Everyone else unites, defeats Takano, and makes her into a sacrifice. This is a happy ending for everyone except Takano. It is a very popular style of story for the protagonists to unite together and sacrifice the antagonist. Aliens come to the Earth to invade us, so the world unites and defeats the aliens. Hooray for humans, and we must all get along. And this is a very popular story all over the world. There are plenty of stories that use aliens, devils, or monsters as clear bad guys, and make them into sacrifices. Two parties fighting with each other become allies once the third party shows up. Storylines like these are indeed exciting. By adding a sacrifice, different parties unite and become allies. To create this situation, there has to always be a third party, the sacrifice as well. I mean, technically speaking, I guess somewhat of it, like, I'm not gonna ruin like the messaging of all this, but you could think of Nomoro as kind of that sacrifice a little bit. I mean, she was clearly a bad person in this. Granted, we don't know her backstory and all that, and maybe she had like a side story. We would think that she is in a similar pickle as Takano, so who knows? I'm sure many of those who created such stories must have already noticed that. We always had a third enemy that can't possibly unite with us. To make up with each other, we try to find a common enemy. Am I the only one who feels that describes our world today? In reality, this world belongs only to humans. There are no aliens, or devils, or monsters. So for us to find an enemy, we'll have to fight each other forever. To make up with each other, we need a new enemy. So we just end up fighting someone else. In this chapter of Higurashi, I declared that to be the demon of the world of man. With these explanations of the worldview here in mind, do you wonder if the resolution of defeating Takano is in fact an ideal resolution of the Matsuri Bayashi chapter? That's right. It's basically the same foolishness found in Tatari Goroshi. According to that logic, the Minagoroshi chapter isn't the best resolution for the problems that surround Satoko either. Do you understand that? How can they make up with Takano? You wouldn't suggest to make Tokyo into a new enemy and let the club members join with Takano, wouldn't you? If I continue to talk about this issue, I'll probably end up mentioning something religious, so let me stop here. What kind of ending would be best outcome following the worldview of Higurashi When They Cry? Perhaps it's something better than the Matsuri Bayashi chapter. You can consider this a graduating question for Higurashi When They Cry. Create an even better ending than this. That's a toughie. if what I'm understanding here is correct. Maybe I will leave it as my final gift to those who enjoyed this tale for 4.5 years. Thank you for reading this extremely complicated story. In the end, what was this all for? If I were to put the answer to that question in one word, it would be entertainment. It's not important if you were able to answer the riddles. After all, if you enjoyed yourself, you won. Ryuki Show 7 will continue to enchant you. Higurashi When They Cry ends here, but I hope I get to see you again in a different world. What kind of work do I want to create next? Maybe it's fitting to choose my next work from an infinite number of possibilities while listening to the chorus of the Higurashi. I want to express my gratitude to all the people who have supported me until today. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Ryuki 7. Nice. Well then. Oh, we also have this. Got this, the forbidden treasure. Onigari no Ryo. It's the most valuable asset of the Furude shrine that's kept in the ritual storehouse. In ancient times, when this place was a chaotic world of both humans and demons, this precious sword defeated the demon god. However, nobody has seen it for 1,000 years. According to the legend, it is sealed in a statue dedicated to Oyashiro-sama in the ritual Starhouse. Because of its structure, as long as the belief in Oyashiro-sama continues, he will remain a forbidden tool, forever sealed away. Also, it is only mentioned in the Forbidden Scrolls of the Furude Shrine. Therefore, only a handful of the Furude family heads have ever known about its existence. According to several of these Forbidden Scrolls, the sword is shaped like a willow branch. There are some ink paintings on the sword, made by a few Furude heads, but none of them match that description. That means they drew those pictures from their imagination. The legend says that there was a girl named Oka who received a divine message that commanded her to defeat the demon god. However, neither the swords of humans nor demons could conquer the demon god. He would require a blade that was neither a human sword nor a demon sword. Only a sword that mixes human and demon qualities could defeat the demon god. It has been said repeatedly that the ancestors of Hinamizawa are half demon and half human. Oka Furude, dates unknown, is said to be the first person whose blood was mixed in that way. This description is what conveys that. So you're saying, like, it makes me think of the little side story that we had after Hanyu joined our classroom and all that. There was that one part about the past, so it makes me think of that. Heaven gave Oka a precious sword. The precious sword was shaped like a willow branch. Its tip split 3 ways, which symbolized heaven, earth, and people in unity. It also symbolizes the harmony between heaven, demons, and humans. Oka headed to the swamp where the demon god hid and defeated him with this treasured sword. Each forbidden scroll describes how she defeated the demon god differently. Some say she disciplined him, some say he ran away, some say he surrendered. What happened to the demon god afterwards is unclear too. The oldest scroll says the precious sword destroyed the demon god's horn, but other books don't mention that. The precious sword that defeated the demon god was then enshrined, and was named Monigari no Ryo. Oka sealed this precious sword in the deepest place of the shrine to hide its existence forever. Even if it was created to slay the demon god, the sword didn't belong in this world anymore, and shouldn't exist on the face of the earth. Some said that was why it was removed from the human world. But some said Oka was the daughter of the demon god, and that she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. The ancient cult of Oyashiro-sama suggested Oyashiro-sama was this demon god. The source of chaos, the source of all that was evil, and the source of all friction. To prevent the demon god from returning to the human world, through worship and comfort is the root of that ancient cult. This may be a type of cult devoted to an evil god. This idea that it's not worshipped for protection, but to stave off a curse, links slightly to the modern worship of Oyashiro-sama, but seems slightly distant from the modern worship that asks for Oyashiro-sama's blessings and sees them as a god of marriage and good relationships. It fosters the argument that humans are good by nature, saying that all discord is the work of Oyashiro-sama, and that there are no demons in the world of men. After that, the legend continues on to what we know today, the harmony of humans and demons. But in this era, all the scrolls on the origin of the belief in Oyashiro-sama and the scrolls of the matriarch of the Furude family have been sealed due to being forbidden. That happened probably because the new image of Oyashiro-sama, that of a loving and affectionate god, and the ancient image of Oyashiro-sama, the source of all evil, didn't match. It became too difficult to explain the faith's doctrine. Also, if one believes the Forbidden Scrolls, The Furuta family was descended from one who killed her own mother. That would mean their blood was cursed. If all that is true, then today's faith is very different from the one that was started by the matriarch. One of the leaders of the Furuta family from hundreds of years ago wrote this. The Onigari no Ryo, the legendary precious sword, is the symbol of both the Furuta family and the sins of the human world. It was an era where people pushed the source of their evil onto others, and could only purify their sins by killing one another. The matriarch took in on the root of all evil herself, and let her child murder her. That was how this place was freed from the chaos. The matriarch usually means Okafurude, but sometimes it means her mother. The notion that the matriarch was the demon god was a taboo among the Furuta family. However, obviously some leaders interpreted it that way. When the Furuta family, or when the world of man commits the foolish act of seeking to blame others and tries to return to the world of demons, that is when faith will disappear, and the statue's head will shatter. That's when the Onigari no Ryori will appear to us. The second coming will once again revive the memory of the Furuta family's forgotten sins. Is the demon god a fictional legend, or someone who actually existed? In some rare cases, babies were born with horns, and they were called children of the demon god. Descendants of the Furuta family who will read this, the myths passed down by our forbidden scrolls are numerous and their content vastly differs. But don't get caught up in the smoke. No matter how different all the scrolls are, there's one thing they all want to convey. Search the heart of the Uka. Search the heart of Okafurude, the one who sealed the Onigari no Ryo forever. That is the fate that all the Furuta family leaders must understand.
Alright, so there's actually one more thing that we have to do. One more thing, which a part of me thought that we already done like everything that we had to do with like the connecting fragments. Like last time when we did that, like I did them in order and I finished it with perfection. But apparently I have to finish the story and then go back and redo like all this stuff in order, and once I've done that, this new fragment appears right over here, which we're going to be doing right now, and we're going to be adding this to like the last part. I may like I'm going to have to apologize in advance. The audio, my voice may be a little bit different. That's because I'm in a completely different room right now, so hopefully it's not going to be too different, I think. But okay, let's go. Let's do this. Which definitely has something to do with Takano. A girl's cheerful voice echoed in the house. It was a tenement house, so walls were thin. So of course, her yell carried through to the neighbors. But since it was a child's voice, nobody complained.
Miyoko, お父さんたちデパートへ行こうと思うんだが。
Her father's voice didn't reach the girl, because all she was thinking about was making a new secret base with her friends in the field. Her father knew the girl had been looking forward to going to the mall, and that if they went without her, she would be upset. He also knew that the girl liked collecting flags from the kids' meals at the restaurant there, and more would bring her collection to 20 flags. Alright, well, of course we're gonna have this kind of fragment. A little bit of happiness for Takano as well. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that this is a fragment where her parents will not die, and because of that, she's gonna live a peaceful life. Which, I guess if I had to think about it from a timeline perspective, in a realistic time-splitting kind of thing,
that would mean like quite a lot of changes to the life in Hinamizawa, in the sense that, well, nobody's gonna be there to do the research on Hinamizawa syndrome. Although, I guess that means that, because from what I understood, it is because of Takano that Irie had gone to do the research there. I mean, Irie in itself, he is still gonna like continue to study and like diseases and such, but him going to Hinamizawa in the first place, I don't think that would be the case without Takano. Because she initiated a project, or such continued it and all that, so they required a doctor and Irie was the choice. But otherwise, Irie would not be in Hinamizawa. A lot of things would change, but okay, we're getting sidetracked over here. Let's go through this fragment. She believed if she collected 20 of them, she could become happy. Oh well. He supposed he'd bring a flag home as a souvenir. It wouldn't be a big deal. If he asked a waitress, she'd bring one for him. On that day, due to an accident, the trains were running behind schedule. To make up the time lost, drivers were braking a little too late, and accelerating a bit too soon. It was rather unsafe. The Tanashi family didn't own a car. They always used a train to go to the mall. Oh, little baby. Oh, as the girl skipped her way to her friend's house, an unfamiliar woman stopped her. Obviously, she wasn't from around there. The ties between the neighbors were very tight around there. The girl knew everyone's face. So if there was a stranger, he was either a new mailman or someone who was lost. A woman? In that dress? With that long hair? The woman said to the girl,
生きたい？死にたい？
Any person would think the woman was crazy, asking something like that. But the girl was too innocent to think that way. She answered immediately.
行きたい。
そう。ならお行きなさい。どうせ行っても友達は留守だけど、それでもお行きなさい。
留守なの？
The girl couldn't figure out why this woman would know that. As the woman left, the girl stopped her. She was curious, although it was a little scary, as to what response she'd get if she answered too fairly.
なら、死にたいだとどうなるの？
お子様ランチの旗がもう一本手に入るわ。
ずるい！私に内緒でデパートに行く気だ！ずるいずるい！
The girl turned and tried to run back home.
いいのね。後悔はしないのね。
The mysterious woman tried to confirm this.
なんで後悔するの？
教えないわ。意地悪だから。
The girl thought this was some kind of a riddle, so she pondered it for a while, but she couldn't figure it out. Then she clapped her hands after she came to a conclusion.
大丈夫だよ、お姉ちゃん。
どうして大丈夫なの？
何があってもお父さんとお母さんが一緒だもん。
The woman stepped aside. The girl bowed to her and ran home. She saw her parents locking the door to leave. The girl jumped on them and nagged them that she wanted to go too. The girl was going to the mall with her family. The family headed to the train station, waited for a train to arrive, and got on it. The driver was feeling the pressure to make up for the delay, and the passengers could tell that from the way he was driving. The girl noticed the unusual swaying of the train. stood on her knees and looked out the window. Her mother told her to sit down because it was dangerous. The girl stuck her tongue out. Then the train reached a very big and very sharp curve. The train tilted in that direction, and all the people were shoved to the side. They were all squished together and grumbled about it. Then the train continued to. The girl and her parents came home under the sky full of stars, with shopping bags in their hands. Jesus freaking Christ, you... I swear, if that was gonna be like the ending to this fragment. They unlocked the door, turned the lights on, and then the girl put her bags by the front door and ran into her room. She opened her desk drawer, took something out of her pocket, and put it in. She closed the jar once, but opened it again, and then spread her treasure on the tatami floor. There were the flags of many different countries that came with the kids' meals. The Japanese flag, the American flag, the English flag. Which country was this for? The one with 3 colors. There's a lot of flags with 3 colors. She lined them up as she counted. She counted out loud. Then she danced around happily, for she now had 20 of them. It took her so long to collect that many. It was hard work for this girl, who was so proud of herself for reaching her goal. She worked so hard that there must be something good waiting for her. She made a wish to become happy if she collected 20 of them. Therefore, something wonderful must be waiting to happen. The girl waited excitedly, but soon realized it wasn't a magic lamp, so no genie would be jumping out. Maybe it wouldn't happen that night. Maybe it'd be tomorrow. The girl decided to wait patiently. She accomplished something as great as collecting 20 flags. Surely, some wonderful happiness awaited. Surely, some wonderful miracle awaited. Or perhaps it might be like a charm, keeping sad misfortunes at bay. The girl put her 20 flags back in the drawer. As she heard her mother tell her to brush her teeth and go to bed, she ran to the bathroom. Lovely. This is fine, isn't it? It's okay to get a miracle in advance. What should I do next? There are plenty of fragments to play with. Well, you want to try too? It's fun. It makes you feel like a god. I'm sure it does, Benkaston. A world with Satoshi or a world where the Sonzaki sisters didn't switch? I wonder what a world with Satoko's parents and Rika's parents alive and well would be like. Oh, how about this? Akasaka gets enticed to the enemy's side by Taka. That sounds interesting. Personally, I am curious about a world where Takano is madly in love with Tomitaki. It would be fun to match Keiichi with different girls too. I love drama very, very much. High school romance, I'm telling you. Let's see, what should I do next? I have so many fragments. Hey, do you want some? What kind of world are you going to make?